What's up guys, I'm Weaselbee Pro, and today I'm going to be giving you a tutorial basically on how I do my material gathering. This is going to be the most efficient way to save the most time, because there's a lot of different ways that you can actually gather materials, but this has been the best way that I've found. So as you can see, I'm pretty low on materials, so I'm going to be heading on out. So the way that I do this, I will be heading off to Dab's Hope, which is in this sector right here. And basically this tutorial is for everybody. So maybe you can go in a combat zone with your heal beams and your cutter because you're a new player, or maybe you can't go in a combat zone with your heal beams and your cutter because you don't have a friend to go with you at the current time, but you need those materials real quick because you want to get those upgrades from the engineer. So basically I found this is the best way to get materials, and in the fastest way possible, because you don't want to be sitting around waiting for a friend to get online so that you can go sit in a combat zone and heal each other. And it's pretty difficult to jump in a combat zone and take down players and then collect everything and not have to be jumping in and out of the combat zone and back to stations for repairs and stuff. So I found this way to be the easiest way. I found even when you're in a combat zone with a bunch of friends and you're healing each other and you're just picking up materials, you can still gather more materials in 1 minute at Dab's Hope than you can with like 3 limpets going all at once in a combat zone. So I find this the best way. And it really doesn't take long. Like I said, usually I come to Dab's Hope, I spend maybe an hour here, maybe 2 hours if I don't really want to come back here for a few weeks. And I do quite a lot of engineering, and it's probably my biggest pet peeve is to go to an engineer and get halfway through G5 on something and then you run out and you can't finish and you have to come all the way back. Sometimes I do all my engineering and then I get to the end and I've got a few left that I can't get, so I try to go in experimental, and turns out I don't have enough for experimental either. So I wanted to find the best way to get materials super fast so that I don't ever have to worry about them and I can just go to any engineer I want, engineer any module I want, and not ever have to actually even look at how much stuff I have. So at Dab's Hope, there's kind of a trick to it. I find if you go the wrong way, a bunch of materials will end up being kind of behind stuff and you'll have to kind of like drive around, and I end up finding myself having to reverse a lot. And I found the key to this is to just keep it all in one big flow. So you try to connect the dots and you just pretend the materials on the ground are dots. So I always enter on the left side, and also another big thing that I do is I always tilt my camera down. I tend to tilt my camera down so that I can see the front wheels in the front, because I tend to get kind of stuck on corners and stuff, and that also wastes time having to reverse. And I mean, I've even gotten stuck on something out here and I just had to blow up because I couldn't get unstuck. So yeah, basically I just go around, I collect everything. This is the path that I take so that I don't have to do any like reversing or anything too much. I mean, here and there you're gonna have to reverse. Sometimes you're gonna spin out because the gravity's kind of low, but for the most part, see over here, these roll away, so sometimes you gotta kind of turn in there, but that's the reason you go this way around instead of the other way around. And basically I've got it down so I'm doing a circle in less than a minute. I think this first circle I did here took over a minute, just because I was driving over and doing it, setting it up and everything. So thank goodness the loading screens are super short. And so I jump in, I'm already ready to go, open the cargo scoop, lock on, pick it up, and I'm just good to go. So you just do this for an hour, and I usually find that I get pretty much anywhere between like 30 and 50 of every single material after I visited the material trader. And the good thing for us GOA folk is our home base has material trader for manufactured materials, so we don't really have to look for material traders as far as manufactured goes, because we always have one handy. And like I was saying, this is, I mean, you do get bored after about an hour of just driving around in circles over and over, but if you like, you can kind of make a mini game out of it and turn it into a race and time yourself and see how fast you can actually do it. And the faster you do it, I mean, the better, because that's what it's all about. And that's about it for manufactured materials. For raw materials, I always go to the system G240-11, because for raw materials you don't want to have to be jumping from planet to planet and kind of scanning planets and seeing what has what on it, and you got to find the pristine planets to get the best, highest grade material percentages. And so that's kind of, that all takes time, and you don't want to be wasting time. You just want to have a certain few planets that you know you can go to where you can just get everything. And this is the system that I've found. There's a few different systems actually that you can find pristine planets that have all the materials, but this is specifically the system that I always go to. It's 100 light years, about 100 light years away from Abby, and once you get there, the first planet has like a bunch of polonium and a bunch of other good stuff on it. So if we look here at the system map, you can see down there, there's first planet's got polonium, niobium, all kinds of good stuff. And then if you go to any of these other planets or these moons off these gas giants, they're just loaded with stuff. So yeah, germanium, cadmium, molybdenum. So this has selenium and antimony, and those are both high grade materials all on one planet. So if you know how to look, and I think I saw arsenic there too, and that's really commonly used too. So just these last 3 planets that I looked at basically have everything as far as I can tell. I think I didn't see mercury or tin, but those are lower grade stuff that you can just trade for afterwards. So usually I come to these systems, sometimes I spend like half an hour on each system. It kind of depends what rocks I'm hitting. So there's different grade rocks, and the ones that you want to get the most are the metallic meteorites. Sometimes I'll hit a metallic meteorite and I'll get like 4 or 5 high grade materials out of one rock. And usually the meteorites, I find that they're like closer grouped up. The second type of rock I try to find is a outcrop. Outcrops are kind of hit and miss. I find sometimes they only give you like 3 or 4 low grade materials. Other times they give you like 6 or 7 high and low grade materials. So it kind of depends on the rock. I've gotten the scanning down to try and like figure out, I mean, when you pick up a signal, you're driving around on your SUV, you pick up a signal. I kind of found these to be the signals of each rock, and they seem pretty consistent. So if you want to look for specific rocks, which you don't necessarily have to, personally, if I find a rock or a signal, I can follow it. It doesn't matter what it is. I take all the materials and I just move on. Since material traders came out, you just want to pick everything up, because everything counts at the end of the day. Even if you have, more than enough of something, just pick it up anyway. Unless it's full, then you can't pick it up. But that's the point. So these are the signals that I found, and like I said, you want to go for metallic, and you want to go for outcrop, and the mesosoderite things are pretty decent actually as well. So yeah, once you're on the planet, I tend to try to land. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with it, but I tend to try and land. I try to land between as many craters as I possibly can. That way, you know, I don't know, I feel like I just find more rocks in that area. And I feel like I get lucky all the time, but I don't know, it might not be luck, it might actually be landing near a bunch of craters that actually help. I'm not too sure about that. I haven't really tested that per se, but I always kind of land near craters, and I always, like here I found a meteorite first time. So metallic meteorites, and this is actually, there's 2 other metallic meteorites close by, which is, see, that's rare. When you get 3 metallic meteorites, that's a lot of material saw right there. And so as you can see, I kind of, so if you're on a higher gravity planet, you can just shoot the rock open and all the smaller rocks will just fall right kind of where they came out, and you can just drive and park over it, and then just go to your contact list and just lock on them, and it'll just pick them all up really quick. When you're on a lower gravity planet, things are way different. The rocks kind of float in the air for a little while and they land scattered out, and then you gotta kind of drive around and reverse and all that and pick them up, and so that's a little bit of a headache. So when you're in the system, try and land on the planets that have the higher gravity, because it actually helps things quite a lot. You don't have to go chasing after any materials. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do for raw materials. I can't really think of anything to add. I mean, once I'm done here, I'll also go to a material trader. I'm gonna have 2 links in the description of this video that are gonna show you the things that I use. It's on Inara. There's the engineers page, which tells me, you know, all the engineering stuff that all the materials that I'm gonna need to engineer what I want to engineer. And then there's a list of material traders that I find pretty handy. You can find material traders using the map filter and stuff, but it's a little tricky, and it's a lot easier just to look at a list and be like, oh, that place is close, I'm gonna go there. So that's that for raw materials. Next, encoded materials. I'll be honest, I've never had to go to an encoded material trader because I've always just had enough data material. But the way that so I read in a thread a long time ago, scan everything and you'll never have to worry about it ever again. And it was true. I basically scanned everything and I've never had to worry about encoded data. And if you do need some encoded data, you can, I mean, there's many things you can do. Sit outside any station and obviously scan the wakes, but best way to do it is just have a wake scanner on you as often as possible, and anytime you leave a station, if there's wakes there, scan them, and you'll get only a certain kind of data from wakes. But if you scan all kinds of data links, megaships, like just scan everything that you can possibly scan, and you'll get a bunch of so every ship I scan, about every 4 ships I scan, I get data from. I'll get like 1 set of data from like every 4th or 5th ship that I scan, I'll get some data from. And so you can actually drop into like a combat zone, don't pick a faction, just scan every single ship, jump out, jump back in, scan every single ship again, and you'll just keep collecting a bunch of random data. And it's not data that you're able to get from wakes. So I mean, that's pretty much how I've done it. When I first started playing the game, I did do a lot of planetary scan jobs, and every time you scan one of those data points, you get like quite a lot of materials from it. So you could do those missions too. They also pay decently as well. But yeah, I've never had trouble getting data, but like I said, it's really not that difficult if you just scan everything. Like I've seen certain methods like, oh, if you need this kind of data, you can find it in these types of systems, in encoded emissions places, and it's just like you can go hunting for those. But at the end of the day, if you've just been scanning everything, after like a week or 2, you're gonna have enough of everything, And if you really need to, you can go visit the trader and get the specific encoded data material that you need. So I mean, that's about it. I can't really think of anything else. You guys can make some points and ask some questions down in the comments, and I can answer your questions. There is, like, keep in mind, this is all about saving time and efficiency. So there are a lot of other ways to get materials. There's the Crash Anaconda, where you can get a bunch of raw materials only. A bunch of high grade materials only, but you still have to shoot open a bunch of cases, and then you only get one rock that falls out of each one, and you pick it up, and then you get, you really don't get that many materials over there, even trading down. I find that I get more high grade materials from the rocks that I shoot on planets, plus I'm getting a whole bunch of other medium to low grade materials that I can trade up for if I need to. But honestly, if you hit all those planets in that one system, you really don't need to do anything else. So that's about it. I hope this was helpful, and see you guys next time.